Well, I don't think it's something that we have to sell. It's simply a matter that the president's priority right now is making sure that all the hostages get out, that the war in Gaza ends, and that there's some stabilization that's brought to this area. He doesn't really want to see anything that could disrupt that.
Because if Israel were to annex the West Bank, then that would be the end of the Abraham Accords, wouldn't it?
It certainly wouldn't be helpful to it if it happened all at once. But even Israel's decision that I have heard has never been to take all of Judea and Samaria.
Why do you call it Judea and Samaria?
Well, it's a historic name. To me, West Bank is a nebulous term that it doesn't really depict what we're talking about geographically. It's a very modern term. It's not something that has historic roots and values.
But I guess what I'm trying to get at is using the Old Testament as a guide to current geopolitics is not very helpful.
I think it's very helpful because it gives it context historically.
What is the future of the Palestinian people in your book?
If they wanted to be peaceful coexistence with the Jewish people, I think that's very possible. But they got to change the curriculum of their textbooks that currently incite violence. The culture needs to change.
But you're not helping the culture if you turn their home, which is Gaza, into literally a pile of rubble.
Well, by that standard, then the Jewish people ought to be the most radicalized on earth, because it was October the 7th in which Hamas, Palestinian elected people, came across the border. They murdered 1,200 people in cold blood.
But the response from Israel has been one of savage collective punishment, described by more and more countries as genocide. You don't say it's genocide, and obviously
Yeah.
Prime Minister Netanyahu thinks it isn't. But there are plenty of other people, including legal bodies that reside in the building behind me, which I know you don't have a lot of respect for, but still it does represent a large part of the international community who do believe it is genocide.
There's no genocide for the simple reason that if it were genocide, Israel could have accomplished that in about 2.5 hours. What they don't get credit for is that when they are going into targets, they announce what those targets are going to be. They instruct by way of leaflets and cell phone messages and broadcast messages. Now, the fact that Hamas amasses their civilians into that area that is going to be hit.
Well, there's just no
yes,
evidence of that, is
There's
there?
quite
And
a bit
also,
of evidence of it. And
you
I've
said
been
it
there
yourself,
personally,
Ambassador.
talked to the people in Gaza. Let me finish. I've talked to the people in Gaza, and I'm telling you, what they tell me is that every one of them I talked to had had a family member murdered by someone from Hamas.
I want to understand where you think the future of the Palestinian people lies, because Finance Minister Smotrich is on record for saying they have three options. They can either go to Jordan or Egypt, which would effectively be ethnic cleansing. They can die for their cause, right? They can fight the Israelis and get killed, as they have been in recent years, or they can live in a greater Israel, but not with full citizen rights, which would effectively be apartheid. So it's either genocide, apartheid, or ethnic cleansing. Which one of those do you think is the solution?
And I don't think those are the only options that exist for Israel and the Palestinians. Nobody wants to see suffering. Well, I think part of it is that there would be a change of attitude within the Palestinian Authority. They would recognize, number one, they've got to stop some of the corruption within their own government.
Britain feels that there should be a two-state solution. The Prime Minister of Israel is on the record this week as saying there will never be a Palestinian state. That's not going to happen. So between these two positions, what is the future for the Palestinian people?
I think the honest answer is we don't know. And one of the things that's very troubling about what the Prime Minister of the UK and the President of France has done is they've unilaterally declared a Palestinian state. Well, you just can't do that. You don't just declare the state on top of the Oslo Accords that have been signed and supposed to still be in effect. That would be really a violation of international law.
The level of bombardment in the Gaza Strip and settlements, or settlers rather, attacking Palestinian communities in the West Bank makes one believe that they are trying to render any future Palestinian state unviable. Now, with those things happening, do you say to the Israeli government, stop it, or do you give them the green light?
I think you say to everyone, stop it, if what you're asking to stop is violence. So whether it's a Palestinian coming across the Green Line and murdering people at a bus station, or whether it's an Israeli who goes into a Palestinian village and murders a Palestinian.
Ambassador Huckabee, thank you very much.
Thank you. Great to be with you.